So you guys must hate Andrew Garfield too. So where's the hashtag Andrew Garfield lied? I'm waiting. Next up on Just the Talk. And also, can you ever make the fans happy? Let's talk about it. Let's go. So, I'm thinking right now, like after No Way Home came out, Spider-Man 3, No Way Home, you figure, I'm assuming that they're gonna come at Andrew Garfield. I haven't dropped my review yet, but you guys know where I'm going with this. And let me bring it back. Let me bring it back for those that don't know, because if you're not aware of, they actually brought back He-Man, and just like X-Men 97. That they're going to continue from where they left off at. They wanted to continue, I guess, a story. I guess not from that one where He-Man went into another universe. They used to call it He-Man 2000, but I guess they don't call it that. But it was like the New Adventures of He-Man. I don't think they was coming from there. They was coming directly from how the original series ended, or wherever they left off at, but they were trying to continue it for the nostalgia, since they were bringing it back, a brand new, refreshed version for new kids to enjoy with a new mythology. They wanted to bring back the old one to continue for the fans that grew up with it, for those that have grown up with it, and also pick up some new fans. You feel me? But it was more centered for an older fan base as opposed to the newer cartoon. So, long story short, they dropped half the first season, the first 5, and then half the second season, the next one. And some YouTubers, scoopers, came out there and said, it's going to be, I guess, like a woke agenda type of series where it's going to be all about Tila and etc., etc., etc. And somehow one of the writers of the series, he got tangled up into it, Kevin Smith, and he was like, yo, look, it's not about that. It's about He-Man, etc., etc. And basically, in a nutshell, doing what most people in Hollywood do in terms of actors or what have you. Anytime they're asked about their series, they're going to tell you what they need to tell you. Whether the truth, or if the truth is you're absolutely right about it, they're not going to tell you that. But in any event, the first half of the season came out and people felt like it validated everything because, spoiler for those that haven't seen it, He-Man quote unquote dies. Now, bigger spoiler, if this is even a spoiler for anyone that knows, if he dies in the first half, more than likely He-Man comes the fuck back to life. I mean, this is just common sense. That's the thing that irked the shit out of me. But fans lost their shit because you have those that really focus on channels that fight against woke agenda driven series as they would look at themselves. If you ask me, a lot of this is just nothing but coded politics being argued via cartoons, and that's what everyone's doing. And you could argue it comes from the machine too, but more importantly, that's what a lot of these guys do, that they try to act like it's just the machine doing it, when you're doing that too. And then when you create your own machine doing it, and then you start to censor yourself because you don't want to fuck up the algorithm and whatnot, then you just become just like any other corporation. You're profit driven, no different. So if this is what people talk about, even though you feel like it's a righteous thing, but you start to get money from on a slow day, what you're gonna do, you're gonna ramp it up and dog whistle for your audience on any type of topic that you can talk about, because you need something to talk about to drive up business. It is what it is. You guys become exactly what you hate, no matter how, you know, how you might call it. You might think that you're doing the right thing and all that. You're doing the same thing. You all come to those roads where you have to understand whether or not is there anything like left to talk about, if there's anything to talk about. And because this is your business, you always need a consistency of that going, because there's someone else consistently doing it and they're going to get that business, because you're not giving the people what they want, which is consistent arguments, looking at everything from an anti-woke lens, just like the quote-unquote woke people look at everything from a woke lens. If this is your industry, this is your business, you're going to do whatever it takes to continue to keep it going. Even if you're speaking on truths, you're doing it so much to the point where now you might have to start making up your own news, because you have to always see the thing that you're selling and everything, because otherwise you're not selling anything. And that's just the point. And these guys do the same thing. But to get back to the where the masses of the universe come from in this, basically in a nutshell, it does become a little bit more centered around Teela in a way. It's her coming of age story, not exactly He-Man's. But He-Man has an arc. He is a centerpiece. He is the vocal point of the locus in which everything like happens around. Their story all surrounds his, but Teela takes a bigger role in it. But it's called Masters of the Universe Revelations, and it's called Revelations for a reason. There's something that was addressed in this that was always around that no one probably even knew. And I gotta shout out the Spectre channel. If you ever get a chance and you want to learn anything about Masters of the Universe, this dude knows damn near everything, and he was bringing up shit that I forgot and things that I didn't even remember. Like, shit, I was real young, you know what I mean, but I was a big He-Man fan like when I was a kid, but they bringing back lore up that I didn't even know. So when he talked about it and then I actually watched it, it was like, yo, this is what this guy was talking about. And I was watching his channel before I think He-Man Masters of the Universe Revelations came out. So I think I found it like a little bit beforehand. So in any event, he talked about it. So something about Teela that they never got around to in the series. So this was a one good way to resurrect the brand. They're gonna basically show the revelations of who Teela is. And I think that was actually a great way of going about it. It's called Masters of the Universe. And the animated series called He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. This one's the Masters of the Universe. So you want to really show the Masters of the Universe. And they did that. And if this is a continuation, why tell you more about He-Man? What is it about He-Man that we don't know? Let's flesh out the other characters that was always around there, because they're all connected to He-Man regardless. And it still was an arc for He-Man as well. There was a cool ass arc, especially explaining how when he went to the Asgardian, their variation of heaven, how he didn't show up in his He-Man form. He showed up as Adam, and they went out of their way to show the dichotomy, which is something that they didn't do in the animated series, probably to sell, you know, to save money on because they always reuse the animation. And if you pay attention, then you kind of like drew over the same He-Man thing. So you don't want to have two different variations of He-Man, even though at the expense of like the Superman effect with the glasses on and off. How the fuck you don't realize the difference in all of this is this nigga just took his shirt off? You feel what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it is what it is. So for the series, you see this big difference in how they presented He-Man as opposed to present him. And I think that was actually pretty cool, because like, even though that was one thing that was like, all right, it's like if you're going to make a continuation, that's a big jarring leap. But I did understand it, because you want to actually kind of sell the point how they never knew if this is going to be the centerpiece around it. This was cool for what they had to do. And if you pay attention to what they were doing with the series, He-Man was always, this was never not about He-Man. Everybody was tied to He-Man, even though, I'm not going to lie, this was a bigger thing about Teela in terms of her revelation, because she was pretty much the audience. And it was through her purview for the most part until you especially get into the second half. But Kevin Smith did not reveal that. They were kind of right, but they weren't exactly right. But long story short, him and the channel that was going back and forth about it, you can't get mad. And the channel wanted to play victim. And I was like, well, you got to also understand, you're trying to spoil his fucking show. Like, that's what you're doing. And no matter how you look at it, you're spoiling his show, and mad that he didn't tell you that you was even kind of right, even though you kind of weren't. It was there's a point in that in which it's kind of subjective. It was still surrounded around He-Man, though albeit this was really kind of focusing more on Teela's story. She was the revelation, if you really think about it. But it was still He-Man's story. It was still around He-Man. But you really got a chance to see that it was started off more of Teela's story and evolving into really kind of like her big arc. But He-Man had an arc too. Adam had a big arc. A lot of it was still telling He-Man's story, but it was nothing new to tell. It was just seeing things from a different angle for him and really kind of developing that. Teela was the big story because she was the actual revelation. And if you knew the backstory to who Teela was, even down from the action figure, that was the big thing. And that was kind of a dope thing if you asked me. But now everything became Kevin Smith lied because he didn't co-sign off on what you guys said. Let's say you guys were 100% right. You think the writer's going to say, well, they're all right about my story. No, they're not going to tell you that. I seem to realize we just experienced this recently in December. You know what I'm saying? As in a movie. So where's that hashtag Andrew Garfield lie? Because Andrew Garfield didn't want to spoil the movie for you when Scooper spoiled the film. He didn't want to tell you, oh, well, you're sort of right or you're pretty much right. Hell in the fuck no. Who's going to tell you that? No one's going to tell you that. No one's going to want to tell you that. You know why? Because I don't know who's going to tell you the story. Who's going to want to tell you the story. I mean, you guys got to really be realistic about these films and these shows. It's still a business. And the business is not going to give you the whole movie and telegraphed out and written out in a magazine somewhere and just give it to you. Or even if there's leaks, they're going to come and co-sign the leaks. No one's going to do that. You can't be realistic. You can't beef with the studios about that. You can't get mad when they want to shut down your channels for it. It gets a little bit out of hand when I hear YouTubers start talking out their ass about shit like this. And want to play the victim. Remember, this is a barbershop talk still. It's just getting elevated into a more respectable position. But never forget, we make speculation videos. No one's supposed to come off the Hollywood high horse and come down here and be like, these guys are absolutely right. That's supposed to happen. The fact that you make that a fucking argument shows that you want acknowledgement from Hollywood. Shows you want that same ass Hollywood access that every other channel might enjoy. And you crying about what they doing? Are you fucking kidding me? You guys can't be serious. For you to actually assume that Kevin Smith was supposed to say to that channel, you know what, you're absolutely right. And you know what that channel likes to say? Well, they should have said nothing at all. But at the same time, you're the same ones on TV, not on TV, but on your YouTube channel that would say the same about, oh, they don't acknowledge us. Well, guess what? This one acknowledged you. And you needed that anyway, that little back and forth, man, to got you more views anyway. Got people paying attention to you, but you get mad at him because he wants to defend himself. But then let them come at you and you guys are going to say, well, I'm going to defend myself. So what does it boil down to? The fact that they got more money that they should just shut up? No. Even though I get it. I'm against the state. I'm very anti-establishment, my damn. So when it comes to a lot of things, even though I'm like wearing no fucking labels. But make no mistake. It don't matter how much anti you might be. Right is right and wrong is wrong. Just because you anti-establishment doesn't mean that it's okay to go poke the bear. Just because the bear know that they stronger than you don't mean that you get to go poking it either. It just doesn't make any sense. And not even one person even drew the comparison lately between Andrew Garfield and this. Tobey Maguire saying that he ain't in it and he heard nothing about the movie. And boom, and this. But Kevin Smith got dragged for filth. This ain't me caping for the homie. It's just me pointing out the fucking obvious because all of y'all be full of shit sometimes. Come on, man. It was a fucking cartoon. I grew up with it. I'm hyper nostalgic about He-Man. Well, not to the effect that y'all, I was real small when I got into He-Man. I was like real small. So that was written for me. Like I'm grown and I watched that shit. And that shit is really childish, the writing. And I grew up with it. That was written for my ass. There was kids a little older than that could have more surface memory of it at its moment in time. And even I look at it and I'm like, yo, I don't understand why you're not surprised that they changed it up. They did it with the Ninja Turtles several times over. And you mad they did it with the He-Man. You just like the other one that came out in the early 2000s. They did it again in the 90s with He-Man. And it didn't last long. I think it had a season, maybe two. But I think only a season. The New Adventures of He-Man. But y'all don't remember that shit. I don't hear nobody crying about that. So what we talking about? Oh, but nobody considers that. No. It took place right after He-Man, B. Even I remember that. So what we talking about? Oh, it's only the ones that you like. Because I don't hear nobody calling out Andrew Garfield for him. For lying. Tobey Maguire for lying. All these other, even Tom Holland before. Didn't he like spill the beans out of something, for spoiling something or something they asked him about? I don't know. I mean, he's been known for spilling the beans about a lot of things. But let's be for real. A lot of times they've asked actors things straight up and they've said no about. And people have been wrong. And no one's got mad at them. Like mad. Y'all got mad at Kevin Smith and he's like a legit geek. That's the reason why he jumped in. Because he ain't exactly high on no mountain about his life. He be watching the same shit as everybody. He probably has favorite YouTubers that you be surprised that he watches. It wouldn't surprise me none. But y'all wanted to tear him down. Someone that was more reflective of you. You think about that. You really think about that. Y'all felt more comfortable tearing down a guy that was more like you than any other person, but you didn't say shit to Tobey Maguire. That was okay. He said that he didn't really grow up on He-Man before. So the fuck what? He was too old for He-Man. He said so. It was around. He watched it. But he didn't have a relationship with He-Man like most people do that are talking about it now because he was a little out of the range for it. Are you surprised? He's just of that time, though. he grew up in the 80s. He remembers He-Man very well. The craze around it. So it's like, come on, B. Word. Like, I watched it, and me, I'm a type of person, I ain't into quote-unquote woke shit. I don't even like using the name, because people already appropriated that from what it was really about. Put that on the almighty fist. You feel me? That was something that was talked about for other people, but now people done ran with it and made a mockery of it. And now it's a mockery of a mockery. But now I'm not really into all of these type of weird ass agendas. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like we need to impress upon ourselves us, cause we don't need that. I feel like we should be. I'm from a different school of thought. You feel me? I feel like create your own lanes. Try your best to do it. Except that, when it comes to certain demographics of people take everything that they created out the way, and that's just historically proven. But I'm not about like forcing people to like me. I want it to happen organically. I want to be on my side doing my thing, and y'all come over here and be like, what you doing? What you doing? And be like, oh, this is what we do. This is how we get down. And then you come over here and see what's up. So we in control of our depictions, as opposed to having to ask and get mad that people not from our background can't get it right. I can't expect that. I try to look at it a little different. I look at it different art forms, no different than people want to tell you. As long as you're not out your way knocking, just trying to tell a good story. If you're a white guy and you want to draw a black character, what's wrong with that? And tell a story how you see it, how you want to tell it. Because there's plenty of black characters that draw white characters, and we do the same thing. You feel me? Because at some point, as creators, it's more about the stories being told. Now, make no mistake, there's a reason why we're at that point where you want to have some sort of control of how you depict it. We understand that. So I don't want to really make it about that. I feel like, yeah, we supposed to be able to artistically and creatively want to tell certain stories using certain types of characters that we see these characters as, and it's for a reason. If you came up with a character and you seen him Asian and you drew the character Asian, does it matter that you're a black person drawing it? Does it matter that you're a white person drawing it? Or is it why can't you admire other races or other characters and write characters around that? Look into their history, and the more you look into it, the more that someone could tell you loved that character that much, because you wanted to get to learn, like, yo, if I wrote a character that's Haitian, I might want to look up more stuff about Haitians so I could put stuff into it that really makes, so Haitians could say, yo, whoever wrote this, even though he ain't Haitian, like, he must have known a little bit, or he went out of his way to learn. That even if you want to find out why I chose Haiti, you might be intrigued. Oh, it might be as simple, as complex as, the character and the things about his power set and skill set. It could have only, for some reason, come out of, like, cultures akin to Haiti. Or as simple as, yo, I had a Haitian, mentor, or somebody I looked up to as a kid, and I don't know, like, when it came to make a superhero, I don't know. I guess maybe in a way he used to be your hero. You know what I mean? And that could have been a story, something simple like that. No other reason. And then I just looked into more stuff around it to make the character more like that, because that's what I did. Why not? These people want to tell the story their kind of way. So for me, again, I don't care. I don't force it. So I understand why people want to have these arguments about it and feeling like, so the fact that he wrote it more around Tila, that he was wrong for doing it. And it's like, it's not He-Man, it's woke. Was it? Watch it. An obscure character they rewrote as black. I don't know why they needed to, but I also know it's not the same as rewriting like Man-at-Arms black. Because when you think about it, if this character was barely around and barely popped up even in the comic, I mean, and I got it from Spectre's channel, so take it with a grain of salt, because I don't remember her. If Andrea was white originally and now they decided to make her black, I could see why they chose that one, because it was an obscure character and they wanted to kind of mix it up, because they did that with one of the characters in the 2000s, one that was beloved but no one bitched about it. I mean, let's be for real, we've done this several times. They did that shit with Spawn, and nobody cared that they changed Terry Fitzgerald from being black to being white. And they explained why. Because they ain't thinking of white people was going to come see the show if it was mostly around black people. If you want to argue, you could say, I think Jason Swift or whatever, the main bad guy, he was played by a Mexican, Martin Sheen, who's really Mexican. But no one know that, so that don't really count, I guess, if you want to argue that. But that's my point. You know what I'm saying? So it's been done before for other ulterior motives. Granted, yeah, they do it for corny reasons, and now it's overly done, virtual signaling and all the rest. I get it. But make no mistake, it's been done before. So the fact that it's being done now, I don't think we need to really be losing our shit over it. At least to that degree. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of reasons why I get it. Like, don't get me wrong. You know what? Scratch that. It could be annoying, because it's annoying to me. Like, because I don't need you doing that. You know what I mean? Just pick up this black characters out there that could use more polishing. You could polish up their background and make them more interesting. So these characters that always been around, we could really develop them. We could develop Blade a different type of way, since now we're doing them in the MCU. We can make it more interesting, as opposed to very just like, you know, even though I liked how Wesley Snipes played him, he didn't really have much of a personality. He barely spoke. Like, I mean, I'm serious. You could have wrote his script on a napkin. You feel what I'm saying? But his character was more about physicality and presence. You know, how he said what he said, rather than the amount of it, or him over pontificating, or a character filled with monologues. That's not what Blade was. But like I said, you might want to make a different type of Blade, a Blade with a different background for why he's like that. But he could monologue, if you will, in a different kind of way. He could be more like Goliath from Gargoyles, as opposed to a quiet character. You feel me? He could have a past with him where he was so unlike that now that we understand why he is the way he is. You know, there's so much you could do with these characters. You could take Bishop and really build out Bishop. You could take Sunspot and build out Sunspot. You know what I mean? You could take Storm, even though she's been fleshed out a lot. You could really elevate her to another standpoint, make her more of a warrior, say that she had a past fighting, so that she doesn't come with it like she's more power than physicality, even though she's trained physically. That was more of the X-Men thing. You could put in her past that she was more of a warrior when she went back home, because she technically, I think, was born in the States but then was raised in Kenya or something like that. Again, there's different ways you could develop these characters that have been around before and take certain aspects of their history and really develop and say, well, let's add more to it. And is that wrong? So it's no different. So it's not. I was always one of those people that if you're going to change or race swap a character, do it because you felt like, I don't know, this person, it was so indicative of that character that I didn't look at it as a race swap at all. I looked at it more as like this person embodied the character. I just saw this character in my film looking like that. Now, if you wanted to shake things up a bit, if you took Andrea, she's an obscure character. Let's not overdo it like they changed her like Man-at-Arms and made him black. Let's not act like that's what was going on. You feel what I'm saying? But in any event, these same people losing they shit over Andrea. It's like, are you kidding me? But again, I get the original reasoning behind it, because I'm against it. I think it's corny. You know what I'm saying? That said, let's look at it this way. It's called Masters of the Universe for a reason, and we spent the first time of its inception going on doing it. This wasn't supposed to be just a quick one-off season. They didn't want to make more seasons. A good way to bring back the season is to really start off and really develop the other characters that was around it. And there's nothing wrong, because they were all tied to He-Man. He-Man's presence was never went unfounded throughout the series, to be honest. Why not develop these characters that we never had a chance to really wrap up their stories? Why not flesh out the Masters of the Universe so you could start really seeing why each character was considered masters, part of the Masters of the Universe? Because it wasn't just He-Man. So it was nothing wrong with them doing that, because He-Man's going to have another larger arc moving forward afterwards. What's wrong with him sharing the spotlight with her? And because we've been without He-Man for quite some time, it was kind of wise to say, well, the reason why we haven't been without He-Man for quite some time is because He-Man died. That was smart. So now you could always, Teela was like us without He-Man from the original inception. And as we were figuring out who she was, because they never got a chance to explain it, you felt the impact of not having He-Man while she kept reminiscing about He-Man. Him coming back was really almost like a way of saying him coming back. The He-Man we always knew, but a little different, a little bit more mature. He grew up now. There's a differentiation between Adam and He-Man more now physically, because now we have the money to invest in it. He has a little armored shield. Even though he looks the same, they added little things to develop the character. Don't get me wrong. I hate the fact, I would have rather you guys not liked Revelations because it wasn't good, rather than the politics around it. It felt unfair. It really felt unfair. And the shit on, like, Kevin Smith did not need the weeks on and the shit on that he got. And then y'all got mad that he came back at y'all. You kidding me? It's called a clap back for a reason. Y'all don't hear me, man. I don't understand y'all. I don't. It's called a clap back for a reason. You clapped first. You started with him. You picked on him. You came at him. And then want to go act like victims. I don't like that shit. It's like, yo, if you're going to stand outside and be like, yo, we got big balls out here, then take everything that comes with it, man. Take everything that comes with it. People going to test that. Don't fall back and be like, I don't know why everybody tested me. No, you came outside telling everybody no one could test you. They punks and you outside with it. Then people came to see you. So he said something. He wasn't supposed to say anything, but if they say something about the fans, you guys personally take it upon yourself to be the spokesperson for all of the fans on your YouTube channels. Are you kidding me? You get to do that, but he can't speak for himself. He can't say fuck you. Oh, well, it's a business. Well, what about your business? Oh, well, my business is to call you guys out. You guys come up with all types of excuses that make you guys vindicated for doing the same things that you accuse all other people in the industry for doing. don't get me wrong, I get it, man. But come on, man. Y'all just be doing the most sometimes. Because, again, to bring it back all around, y'all ain't dropped no hashtags called Andrew Garfield lied. You didn't. You didn't. You didn't. I swear. Which comes down to this. Can you guys ever make the fans happy? And I don't think you guys can. I know definitely most of you hate watching YouTube channels. You can't afford to be made happy because that's not what your channel's about. Your channel's about riding on everything's moving. If there's a fart in the wind, you will make a whole video about that and somehow tie it into some sort of identity politics. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what your channel does. That's what your channel is motivated by. And I get it. That's the hustle. I can't knock the hustle. I'm all about the hustle. Come from that shit. I get it. Get the hustle. But then you guys cannot get mad that other people do it too. And you can't get mad that he didn't want to fuck up his hustle by co-signing anything you guys said if you guys were 100% right. Even though you guys were right to a degree, but you were really not right because it was still about He-Man. It was still about He-Man. It was still tied to He-Man. Her story was her personal arc. He-Man was everybody was tied to He-Man. It was He-Man, even her. She went on this embarked on this I guess journey of self-discovery, if you will, because He-Man died. Because no one told her who He-Man really was. At the end of the day, everything was tied to He-Man. So you guys were still kind of wrong. But here it goes though. And I get the hustle because that's what the channel was about. But don't act like victims. That shit is so whack. Because you guys came outside for the smoke the moment you were spoiling his show and saying it was woke agenda. For all you know, he really cared about it. Tila being a girl. Maybe possibly because he has a daughter. Because I don't think he has sons. I think he only has like at least one daughter. Yeah, he does. Named Harley Quinn. So... like legit, yeah. So the guy that names his daughter Harley Quinn, the same guy that is more likely like you guys, that would in another life, had he not directed, he would have probably had a YouTube channel about his comic book shop, and that's the guy you chose to ride on. But Tobey Maguire, we don't see nothing similar about that. Actors that have been doing this before, we see nothing about it. But Kevin Smith, but he came at the YouTubers. He came at a specific channel from what I understood. And I don't think he cursed them out. But let's be for real. I'm sure his video on them was a lot more inviting than how they talked about his show before they even got to see it. That which would piss anybody off. You didn't even see my show. But you already talking down about it. And putting it out there to the same people that I wrote this show for. Because it was the nostalgia. It was the nostalgic people. Now, I'm not going to lie, Kevin Smith. If you had your finger on the pulse of what's going on YouTube, I will not lie. You should have known going the female route might not have worked. But he said he took in a lot of, not mistaken, if I remember correctly, he said he took in a lot of input from newer people that was part of the writer's room. It wasn't just about nostalgia. It still was. They still want to pick up new audiences. They still want to. It was just not kids. They want like new people that might have heard about it. Even the people that have watched the 2000s, that grew up on the 2000s one. They still wanted that audience to come into it. So at the end of the day, I just think that you guys just really are not about wanting to be made happy. If they don't touch our shows from before, but you guys haven't watched your shows from before in a long time. And if they make one trying to focus for you and fail, at least they tried. They're gonna come back around and do something like that again. But at least they're giving it a shot. I don't like every remake of everything. Look, the new Ninja Turtles joint, even though I don't really follow it like that, not a big fan of it, but I try to watch it because I'm a Turtles fan. So there's certain things about the Turtles I'm gonna like. But I'm not mad that they went different route with it. How many times you gonna tell the same story again? The Nickelodeon one, I don't know how you was gonna top the first Nickelodeon one, the 3D one. I don't know how anyone was gonna top that. So they went back and tried to redo everything. Leonardo was not the leader. They're all not exactly brothers. They're different type of turtles. So they're not like blood brothers, but they're brothers. They trying different things to add to the lore, to develop them. They're going, from what I understand, to get to a point where Leonardo becomes the leader, but they wanted to do kind of like a prequel before all of that, before Shredder. They really want to do something else to develop these characters differently. And at some point, I'm not surprised. There's a reason why Zack Snyder didn't want to really focus on, they wanted to do an older Batman. I mean, for a couple other reasons, if you ask me, but one in particular was so we could be there and been there, done that. Like, we want to have Batman, a different type of Batman, at a different stage in his life, at a different point in his life, in his career. And why not go into a more developed Batman, an older, seasoned one versus a young, a very young and very new Superman in his career? It kind of works right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, people want to tell their stories. Let them tell their stories and go look into it. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with speculation videos and talking about, because people are talking about the over politics, politicking of like nostalgia. But at the end of the day, I mean, come the fuck on. This is still an 80s cartoon, and it's still about having fun too and enjoying it. And I think that they did well with maturing it and still not over making it like adult. It was still He-Man. I enjoyed it. I don't know how you just don't enjoy it. I don't know how you guys that are so serious about lying to the fans, then you should have really been mad about what Tobey Maguire and especially Andrew Garfield been doing. But people don't draw the comparisons nor the correlations. But you know me, it's just your family neighborhood Nove, just trying to figure this shit out. You know what I mean? It's all about consistency with me. That's just really it with me. Be consistent, man. If you're gonna feel a way about Kevin Smith, you better have the same smoke. You know what I mean? The energy ain't the same. The energy is very different, man. But let me know, is it just me? Get in the comments below. And really, first off, before you all get all hyped up on me about this, because I know you just gonna want to get hyped. All that you feeling your chest is just you wanting to ride for the gang. Put your flag down, the He-Man and Kevin Smith live gang down. Put your bandanas down first and just take it in as like, yo, I'm really listening to you, Nove. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't mad at Toby for lying. We understood why. How can I act like I don't understand why Kevin Smith quote unquote lied? And let's just start there. Anything else, we can have differing opinions on whether or not he was forcing woke agendas down and all of the rest of it. We could get to that later. But let's just start from a place like, yo, that's basically the same thing that Tobey Maguire did. Where's the hashtag? Where's the offense? You did it because you understood it. They didn't want to spoil the story. You think he didn't want to spoil his story? Or you might feel a way that you're spoiling his story. These guys didn't even write these characters. They were just acting in it. You think he don't feel a way? I don't know. Maybe it's just me, man. But leave it in the comments below, man. You know what I mean? Let's keep it real. Let's like put your bandanas down for the gang you riding for. And let's just be honest and have a real conversation about it. And let's be for real. You know what I mean? And I'm open to having you guys change my mind. I really am. But leave it in the comments below. And if I need to make another video, I'll do it too. And if you want me to make a video about any kind of topic you have an idea for, leave it in the comments below. And as always, like, share, subscribe. See you next time. And as always, time for a better outro. Chill.